Now this teaching would be incomplete if I did not furnish you with certain examples. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of examples to illustrate to you how critically important is this truth that we have spoken about tonight. Now let's say that there is a man, the bottom half of the circle. He's got a strong will and he's got a strong mind. Let's say that he's got a great job, he's got lots of money, he's a very strong-willed guy, and he knows exactly where he's going in life. Now across the circle, across the wheel, on the other side, on the emotion side, he sees a girl. And the girl is very sweet and loving and understanding and kind, and she's got lots of friends. And he looks at her and he likes her. She, on the other hand, looks across the circle on the other side and sees him. And he's a very strong-willed guy. He knows where he's going in life. And she says, man, what a man. He'll take good care of me. And he likes her because she's very sweet and understanding and lovely. So now, God has wired us in such a way that we tend to complete ourselves in one another. So besides the gender attraction that is there, the male-female attraction that is there is also this other thing that we try to complete ourselves in the other person. So this man is attracted to her, she is attracted to him, and they fall in love. And they get married. And they have a great honeymoon. And the first couple of years are marvelous. And then it begins. Then it begins. The very things that had attracted them to one another now become a source of irritation and annoyance. Let me give you an example, a very common example in the US, where more than 60-70% of the population is overweight. Let's say that this girl, the wife, is trying to lose weight. And one night at the dinner table, she tells her husband, oh, this food is beautiful, but I cannot eat it. I just have to lose weight. And the husband, he says, oh, why do we have to talk about that one more time? We've already discussed that matter so many times in the past. I've told you, I've got the money. Go get a personal trainer. Go to the gym. Go. Just do it. Just do it. Because he's such a strong-willed guy and he's got such a good mind, in his entire life. Anytime he wanted to achieve something, he just went and did it. Like that Nike advertisement, just do it. For him, the distance between A and B is a straight line. So he does not understand why one needs to discuss this matter anymore. Why do we have to have a debate? So, that's his position. And his wife says, because she's on the top half, she's very emotional and she's soft and all that. And she wants him to do this, She wants him to be understanding and compassionate and encouraging, but he doesn't have those qualities. So she says, oh, you'll never understand. And then, maybe a few more months pass, and one night they have a bad fight. And the next day, at the breakfast table, they look at each other, and he says to her that, do you realize that we are totally incompatible? We have got nothing in common. And she says, yes, I understand that. Maybe we should get divorced. So that, my friends, is what happens. And more than 50% of the marriages end up in divorce. And this is the reason that they say that because we are incompatible. At one time, yes, it's true, we fell in love, but now we've fallen out of love and we have nothing in common right now, so let's split. Now, this is a true story. This is a true story. There really was a couple like this in Beaumont, Texas, close to where I live, and they were on their way to the divorce court to get divorced. But they knew Dr. Bill Urey. Now, Dr. Bill Urey is the one who prepared this counseling material. He's a good friend of mine. And they said to themselves, this husband and wife, that, what, let's give this one last attempt, and see if Dr. Bill can help us, just in case. So they pull into the parking lot, they go to his office. He happened to be free. He didn't have an appointment. So he sits them down and he takes them through the same material, the same teaching that I've just given to you right now. And at the end of this material, the husband, his eyes open big and he says to his wife, oh my goodness, now I understand where you are. Now I understand why you have been behaving the way you do. For the first time, he really was able to place his wife. And the wife, on the other hand, she says, oh my goodness, so that is why you do things the way you do them. That is why you behave the way you do. So you see, my friends, God has created us in such a way that some things we can change. But some things we cannot change. Some things we cannot change. Some things will always remain the same. So Dr. Bill explains to this husband and wife that because you two were so different, therefore there was such a great attraction between the two of you, and you fell in love and came together, and the first few years of marriage was so great because you're so different. But now what has happened is, the devil has put a little wedge between the two of you and is splitting you apart. Now if you will refuse to take the temptation of the devil, of Satan, and come together in greater love, have more love amongst yourselves, the 9 fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, long patience, suffering, self-control, if you'll have more of that, then your marriage has got the greatest potential of being very colorful, being very enjoyable, being very productive, being very effective, because you both are so different. You bring so much to the table. So this couple, they look at each other and say, well, what do you think? And the man says, yeah, I think we should do it. We should give it another try. So they choose not to get divorced, and they continue to live their lives. Now, one day the wife says to herself, how does my husband achieve so many things in life? And then she looks at his life very, very, very closely, and then she finds that no matter how tired he might have been, no matter how late he got up how late he went to sleep at night, he always would get up at the same time in the morning, do his exercises, go to work, finish a day's work, very strong-willed. When he makes up his mind, he just does it. And she says to herself, you know what, I'm trying to lose weight. Even if it kills me, I'm going to try this for 1 month. So she calls up a dozen of her friends and she says, please encourage me. Please pray for me. I'm going to try this for 1 month to really try and lose weight. So for 1 month, she watches her diet. She goes to the gym. She does the exercises. She does all that. And at the end of a month, she looks at herself in the mirror and she says, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this. For the first time in her life, she has found something to be really pleased about. When she looks at herself, and she has been able to achieve something significant for herself. Now what happened? All that she did was take a page out of her husband's book. This is what her husband does all the time. So you see, my friends, that God made us in such a way, that we rub off one another, and we are supposed to influence one another instead of being split further apart. Now the husband, what's his story? Though he's such a great achiever and he's got a lot of money and power and influence, he doesn't have any friends, not a single friend, And he looks at his wife and he says, man, she has got a dozen people who would die for her. How does she do it? So he examines his wife very closely, and he finds that, she gives people time, and she looks at people in the eye, and she's not thinking of the next thing to say. She's really listening to them. She gives them gifts. She's very concerned about people. And he says, let me try that. One day in his company, there comes a man, whom he thinks he might get along with. So he tries to practice all these things that he's learned by watching his wife on this man. And one day, this man, after a few weeks, he tells his boss, this is the husband, he says, boss, I really enjoy being around you. You make a very good friend. For the first time in his life, this husband, his heart swells with pride, and he says, for the first time I have found somebody who really appreciates me for who I am. Not because of my money, my power, my influence, but simply because of who I am. So what happened over here? All that the husband did was take a page out of his wife's book. This is what his wife does all the time. That's what she is. So you see, my friends, that this is why they came together in the first place. And this is what they are supposed to rub off on one another and influence one another in this way and not be split further apart. Now this is a true story. Now it also happened that another couple that had already been divorced, they went to Dr. Bill Urey, and they asked him, can you do for us what you did for this couple? And he says, yes, I can. And he takes them through the same teaching. And guess what? This couple that had already been divorced, they come back together. And they get remarried. So do you see, my friends, how powerful is this truth? How powerful. How powerful. And you can apply this anywhere where there are at least two people in a relationship, between husband and wife, with your family, with your kids, with your parents, in your church, in your company, in the army, in a platoon, anywhere you can apply these relational principles. If you was to ask me, Joshua, what is the biggest problem in the world right now? I would not say that it's AIDS or nuclear warfare, or or terrorism, or any one of those things, or poverty. I would say it's relationships. It's relationships. That is the biggest problem in the world. We just cannot get along with one another. We just cannot get along with one another. So you see how important it is to learn how to understand one another, to see where they are on the circle, what is the profile, and to be able to move with them at their level. You know, another historian, he calculated the entire existence, the known recorded existence of mankind, which is about, I don't know, 4,500-5,000 years. And he found that there was only one place, one short period of 400 years, when there was no known war or battle going on the planet. You know, for the remaining time, out of that 5,000 years, mankind was at war with one another. War, bloodshed, genocide, extermination. That is in the very psyche of man, to have hatred, to kill one another, to annihilate one another. But on the other hand, the Lord Jesus Christ came to give us love, and he epitomizes love on the cross. And that is what the Lord expects us as Christians to be loving and kind, the way he is loving and kind. So that, my friends, is what this message is all about. That you understand yourself better, the way God has wonderfully fashioned you and created you, that you understand your calling, your ministry in life, what you were created to do, that you might be very fulfilled as you walk down that road. But most important of all, that you be loving and kind, even as he is loving and kind, because he's coming back for this kind of a bride, a beautiful bride who is loving the way he is loving. I thank you very much. Thank you very much for allowing me to impart this truth to you. It has made a big impact on my own life, and my desire is to share it with everybody in the world. So if you have enjoyed this, then please share it with somebody else also, especially the one with whom you may be having some conflict with. It might just be the bridge that would bring about healing and reconciliation in your relationship. Thank you.